Chapter 9. Buddhist Society of Idaho, 2017-present. In 2016, Sayadaw had been invited to Boise, Idaho to give a talk at a Dhamma center owned by a group of Americans. The event was hosted by a small group of people from the Karen ethnic group of Myanmar. While the 5 million Karen people of Myanmar have settled primarily in the south and southeastern parts of their country, significant numbers have also migrated to Thailand, where they have settled close to the Myanmar border. Some of the Karen people of Myanmar have also settled as refugees in the United States. After the talk in Boise, the host shared a concern with Sayadaw. Their concern was that there were a lot of Karen refugees living in the Boise area, but with no Burmese Buddhist monastery nearby, and hence a feeling that there was no spiritual guidance or sense of religious community. Some had begun to convert to Christianity. The hosts asked Sayadaw to help them establish a Burmese Buddhist monastery in Idaho. Sayadaw agreed to help them. Las Vegas. Sayadaw posing with a group of friends and supporters after a Dhamma talk at a church in Twin Falls, Idaho. The local community soon found a modest residence on 3.6 acres of land in the community of Nampa, which was about 20 minutes from the airport in Boise. And it was available for a good price, $380,000. Sayadaw secured a loan for the property using his name and credit. 172 Buddhist Society of Idaho, 2017-present. Once the property was secured, the local community set about seeking zoning approval as a place of worship. This involved hosting neighborhood meetings, which Sayadaw attended, in order to answer questions from the future neighbors. There were also public hearings held in the city. The neighborhood meetings and public hearings went well, and the community soon received formal approval for the eventual development of a Buddhist monastery in Nampa. In 2017, the Buddhist Society of Idaho was established. The president of the first board was a Burmese woman who'd met Sayadaw at the brand-new Chaya Meditation Monastery back around 1997. In those days, there were only 5 Burmese Buddhist temples in the United States. Besides our new monastery in Las Vegas, the only temples were in Washington, New York, the San Francisco Bay Area, and Los Angeles. Las Vegas was the closest Burmese temple to her home in Idaho, so she and her fiancé came to Chaya Meditation Monastery to get married. I conducted the wedding ceremony, and then they both took temporary ordination. Many years later, he ordained a second time at our current location on Virtue Court. Throw Abhidhamma in the ocean. While instructing a young student, Sayadaw explained that Abhidhamma is the main key to the Buddhist scriptures. If you don't know Abhidhamma, you won't clearly understand the suttas. Yet someone once shared with Sayadaw that it's the perspective of some people that Abhidhamma should be thrown in the ocean. On hearing that sentiment, Sayadaw shook his head and thought, "Oh no, what a tragedy." People who hold that perspective perhaps feel that way because the Buddha didn't emphasize Abhidhamma in his teaching of human beings. 173, Las Vegas. Sayadaw recalled an occasion when a group of new visitors came to the temple. They asked him whether it was important to learn Abhidhamma. In his reply, Sayadaw spoke of how the suttas talk of the 5 aggregates, as an example. He asked the visitors to explain the 4th aggregate, sankhara, which is commonly translated as mental formations. They were unable to do so. The visitors were completely unaware that the 4th aggregate refers to 50 of the 52 Cetasika, expounded upon in great detail in Abhidhamma. If you don't learn Abhidhamma, you can read the suttas but you won't understand the meaning in detail. In 2019, Sayadaw's first branch monastery, Chaya Meditation Monastery II, officially opened its doors in Nampa. Sayadaw assigned his senior monk from the Las Vegas temple, U Maginda, to be its first abbot. I will let the monks take turns acting as the abbot of the Idaho temple. Perhaps U Maginda won't like it. Then another monk can try it. Sometimes, even if the monk likes it, the community doesn't want that monk there. Then I'd have to assign another monk. In the fall, Sayadaw returned to Nampa for a grand opening ceremony and other monastery events. which some 30 or 40 members of the Burmese community attended. The day before the grand opening ceremony, the visiting monastics consecrated a section of the property for a future ordination hall. This involved a formal procedure of establishing clear boundaries on the land, chanting of the Holy Scriptures in Pali, conducting a series of questions and answers outlined in the Scriptures, and then setting up markers in either wood or stone at 8 points to delineate the boundary. Once complete, the area was formally established for ordination of new monks, as well as formal recitation of the Holy Scriptures. Upon completion of the consecration of the ordination area, Sayadaw ordained the first 2 temporary monks at the new monastery. 174 Buddhist Society of Idaho, 2017 present. A young lady was also ordained as a nun. The supporters who attended the event donated money, robes, shoes, and alms bowls, as well as food and juice. In the afternoon after the November 2nd grand opening ceremony, the community held a Kathina robes offering ceremony. There were 12 monks and 3 nuns, as well as supporters and devotees from Idaho, Las Vegas, Arizona, Oregon, California, and even Myanmar there to celebrate the occasion. After lunch the following day, the monks visiting from Chaya Meditation Monastery returned to Las Vegas. Unlike the main Chaya Meditation Monastery campus, which is primarily supported by the Thai community, Chaya Meditation Monastery II is a distinctly Burmese monastery supported by about 20 families in the Boise area. Just a few of those 20 families, mostly Karen people, are actively engaged with the monastery. Some of the supporters are unable to speak Burmese, so communication between them and Sayadaw U Maganda, who is Palaung but also speaks Burmese and a bit of English, can be challenging. In mid-December 2019, Las Vegas Sayadaw recruited 2 monks, Ashin Dhammapala and Ashin Sundara, who were from Kyayin Seki, Kayin State, but living in Mon State, Myanmar, to come to the United States to assist Sayadaw U Maganda at the new monastery. While Ashin Dhammapala didn't speak Karen, or much English, the 39-year-old Ashin Sundara was of Karen descent and also spoke some English. He'd also graduated in 2004 from State Pariyati Sasana University in Yangon. The 2 monks would be useful at the Idaho monastery. Having received their 1-year R1 visas, Ashin Dhammapala and Ashin Sundara arrived in the United States in November 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. They stayed at the Las Vegas monastery for a few months before traveling to Nampa and staying a while with Sayadaw U Maganda. In late winter, the trio of monks took a short trip across the United States, touring South Dakota and Niagara Falls, and spending time in Washington, D.C., where they visited the White House and the Lincoln Memorial. In spring 2021, Ashin Dhammapala and Ashin Sundara resettled at Chaya Meditation Monastery with the intention to stay in Las Vegas 175 Las Vegas Sayadaw long enough to secure their green cards. Once secured, they plan to rejoin Sayadaw U Maganda as residents at Chaya Meditation Monastery too. Las Vegas Sayadaw plans to have a formal ordination hall built at the new monastery once sufficient funds are raised. By early summer 2021, about $100,000 had been collected, but anticipated costs for the construction of a hall are about $400,000. Without a significant local support base for the monastery, future plans are considered a day at a time. In the meantime, Las Vegas Sayadaw retains the role of leader of the Idaho monastery, collecting donations and sending them to the new monastery as they are received. An impolite question. A lay student once shared with Sayadaw that he'd asked a friend, a former monk, if he'd ever attained the various levels of jhana. The student was curious whether his question to his friend had been inappropriate. Sayadaw's reply was interesting and informative. A group of yogis once came to Chaya Meditation Monastery to practice meditation for a week or 2. Some of them proudly told Sayadaw that they'd been able to attain jhana, but as Sayadaw spoke with the yogis, it became very clear to him that they'd not attained jhana. Rather, they'd had meditation experiences that were similar to the factors of jhana, and were thus led to mistakenly believe that jhana had been attained. After proclaiming their attainments, some of the students asked Sayadaw, "What do you think?" He replied, "Ask yourself." He explained that one who masterfully attains jhana can sustain it for hours or even days. But if one can't do that, they haven't really attained jhana. There's a difference between learning theory and experiencing something directly. Sayadaw explained to the student that it's very difficult for a lay person to sustain jhana. As an aside, he pointed out that the famous Thai forest tradition meditation master Ajahn Chah didn't talk much about jhana. Ajahn Chah was a disciple of the legendary master Luang Pu Mun and widely considered to be an arahant. 176 Buddhist Society of Idaho, 2017 present. As Sayadaw brought his reply around to a direct answer to the initial question of appropriateness, he said that the question was a reasonable one to ask his former monk friend, but that the answer may not be indicative of the reality of the situation. Still, I wouldn't want to be asked a question like that. It's personal and impolite. A bit like asking someone how much their job pays them or how much money they have in the bank. 177.